Here we go. It's happening. Decline. I mean, decline. I don't want robots. I want people, and I want cameras on. I want to see all your pretty faces. Yes, as you sit there and think about your 12-week plan. I want to see your faces. Let's go. Okay, Yvonne. Yvonne can't turn hers on, and I get it. I get it. So, anyway, welcome to Tech Tuesday. Super excited to be here because I'm here as a participant today because I'm super selfish about that. Like, when it comes to things like this, I bring people, I bring my friends to teach me what to do so I don't have to teach it. I can do it, right? Because I need a 12-week plan. Me and Stacey have been talking about my 12-week plan for 12 months. So anyway, really quick announcements. We are having Black Friday sales. Black Friday sales, of course we are, because it's a thing. So Joanne's going to drop some links in the chat. If hitting that higher price point is on your 12-week year, we're doing 50% off our luxury Notion page, and you can come to unlimited luxury workshops, right? So you can come to 12, you can come to 24. It doesn't matter. Yeah, we're working on the things together to get you to the higher price point. So the coupon code for that is Black Friday, all one word, super simple. And then Tech Tuesday VIP, if you want to, get help pressing the buttons, which is right after this call. It is also 50% off the first month, right? And these specials are going through Cyber Monday, and all the codes in my stand store are Black Friday, all one word. So go start your shopping today, and I will see you on the calls. All right, that is all I have today from me. We are going to let Stacey take over this call and start talking to us about 12-week year.
It's a takeover. I'm
It's a
excited
takeover.
to be here. All right. I just want to get a feel for where we're going to go today. How many of you have either been on a call with me before, have read the 12-week year, or have some sort of foundational knowledge about a 12-week year? How many of you? All right. So about
Sherry has not experienced this.
All right. Okay. So let me ask this question then. How many of you have formulated a 2025 annual plan?
Oh, Runa,
Hands
Allie.
hands up. Okay. All right. Okay. And for those of you who haven't done any plan yet, okay, in the chat, tell me what's holding you back. What's holding you back from creating your action plan for, if nothing else, the first part of 2025, but why not an action plan that starts now so you can capitalize on this time of year? Okay, there's a lot that can happen this time of year, and you're missing an opportunity if you don't have a strategy for navigating the rest of 2024, let alone 2025. So I see I'm working on it. Okay, I have a basic 2025 plan. Teresa, 2025 is almost complete. Okay, perfect.
What?
Yeah, need a little guidance on where to start. Kara, need a little guidance? Well, you're in the right place. That's why Wendy had me on the call this morning, is to share with you the stuff that we talk about on our call. Wendy and I are on an accountability call together each and every weekday. And we've been doing that for almost 2 years now. And we talk a lot about what we're trying to accomplish, not just, in the realm of real estate, but what we're trying to accomplish as human beings. Like, where are we going? What do we feel called to do? I've sold residential real estate and done property management for 32 years. I'm a third generation real estate agent. And I'm at the point in my career where my career probably looks a little different, and my days and weeks and months look a little different. My goals are going to look a little different than some of you. Each one of us has this unique sort of suite of assets that is just unique to each one of us. Your database looks different than my database. You have super connectors in your world that I don't have. You have transferable skills that I don't have that are different from each other. Some of you have a really fat pipeline and you're just working that pipeline into 2025. Some of you don't have a pipeline. You know, you might have done that thing that we have a tendency to do in real estate where we do a bunch of lead generation because we get a fire lit under our butts, and then we procure a bunch of leads, and then we go deep servicing those leads at a high level, and we forget to lead generate. And then before you know it, we're in the valley of death again. You get a big group of paychecks, and then you're in the valley of death, and then you're starting all over again. And I think that's really typical in real estate because of the way that we're structured. So it brings a lot of chaos. And so a 12-week year is a really great way to kind of pare down, put some blinders on, and have sort of some standards in place about what you're going to take into your world and what it's okay to say no to. Because I think we're overwhelmed by free trainings and choices of what to invest in for our business and what we need to learn next and all of that. And it's like, how do you get it all done? And there's so many good ideas. And every time I start to implement something, I hear about something else and I feel like I'm missing it if I don't do it. And then you're getting overwhelmed and you're looking at your bank account going, all of that, and I'm still not doing the kind of business I wanted to do. Does that resonate with anyone on this call? Because that was my life for a long time. And this allows you to smooth it out. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Oh, I need any
Sorry,
driving
sorry, sorry,
privileges.
sorry. Hello.
Any driving privileges, Mom?
Sorry. You got it.
We're good.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So the first thing that I want to do today, hold on a second. Let me move some things over so you can see. First thing I'm going to do is I'm giving you access. In just a minute, you're going to receive a link that Joanna's going to put in chat. I'll also have a QR code for you. But I've created an online community, and part of that community is set aside to talk about nothing other than the 12-week year. So if you are trying to figure it out, if you want to download resources and tools that we're going to discuss today, this is where you're going to do it. There's a welcome message for you there. And then all of the links from today are going to be there as well. And ongoing help if you're not quite done with your 2025 plan, if you want to go out on a limb and try a 12-week year and see if it makes a difference, it can work in conjunction with an annual plan. I've created this space for you. Costs you nothing. It allows you to be here and have a place to, not be distracted by, reels about kittens while you're scrolling real estate content, and you'll be able to focus on what's most important to you. So by all means, jump in there, join the Rebel Agent community online. We would love to have you. Again, there's no cost to that. It's just a place for you to go and focus on individual topics and meet some other agents along the way. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go over here, and you let me know if you can see my screen okay. We good?
Yep.
All right, so this is the link to my stand store that has all of where you join me online. Any Black Friday specials that I am running. I did create one specifically for people interested in launching a 12-week year plan. It is a package of 4 live calls and daily accountability for 3 months. So you'll see that in there. It's labeled Black Friday special. Would love to have you on board. So if you like what you're seeing this morning, you're like, holy mackerel, I want to go deeper on that, but I really need a teammate. I need a running partner to help me with that. I'm here for you on that. So you can check that out. Today, we're going to talk about, this is actually the 3rd part of a much larger workshop. We're going to go lightning fast today because of the time constraints. But what I really want to do is go over the basics of a 12-week year plan, tell you what the components of that are, and then we're going to talk about how to write powerful goal statements that actually, when you read them, get you excited. Like when I've read my business plan in the past, there was nothing about that got me excited. Nothing. Like I'm looking at it, I'm like, whoa, that looks like a whole bunch of work. Like there was nothing empowering about it for me. I used to teach MREA business planning when I was a team leader at Keller Williams. It was an 8-hour class, and people would leave with this like really intricate spreadsheet filled out, but they still always had the question, why can't someone just tell me what I should be doing to get the outcome? See, agents are very attached and committed to an outcome. They are not attached and committed about how to get there. And that's where a lot of people get off track and why you're not reaching your goals. You haven't figured out how to get there quickly, efficiently, profitably, not just money wise, but with your time. So we'll talk a little bit about that today. So in a 12-week year, it really, like, if you strip it down to bare basics, this thing consists of 3 parts, okay? The most important part, the top of the mountain, the apex of all of this are your long-term aspirations. You want to have all of your long-term aspirations fleshed out. So long-term means it's at least 5 years in the future. And you want to project out. Now, you look at somebody like me, I'm 55. So my long-term aspirations aren't so long-term anymore. They weren't as long-term as they were when I was 30 and when I was 40 and even when I was 50, right? So my long-term aspirations, they're almost within sight for me. Like I'm starting to see them materialize. Those things that were like, when I get old kind of things, like when I get older, when I retire. Well, now that stuff's starting to actually come into view for me. My kids are almost all grown. I have one left at home. He's a senior in high school. And before now, like all of my aspirations were somehow linked to getting them raised and getting them out in the world. And every decision I made, how I ran my business, what car I drove, where we went on vacation, what food I bought for my refrigerator was all predicated on who those people were in my house, right? Like I couldn't think past that. So if you're a parent or if you're really young and you're like long-term aspiration seems like just another world away, it's worth spending time thinking about what you want your life to look like. So long-term aspiration, again, described as what you want your life to look like. It is not the same as a big why. It does not require a trip to India where you sit cross-legged in an ashram for 6 months to figure out. Sit down with your business partner, sit down with your life partner, sit down with a trusted friend, your coach, whoever, and figure out what it is you want long-term. Business is nothing more than the means to fund your perfect life. Okay, so this is beyond real estate. This is beyond your career in real estate. Where are you headed? And then the second component to a 12-week year is going to be you fleshing out those midterm goals. Like, okay, if I know I'm climbing the mountain to my long-term aspiration, what are some of the milestones that I'm going to need to hit in the next 3 to 5 years to make sure I'm on track, make sure I'm in alignment? I need to make sure that those things make sense for me. Okay, so I'm going to give you a great example. I was teaching a class in Denver recently for our mutual friend, Claire Gleason. And I had a gentleman in the room, everybody's going around talking about their midterm goals. And a lot of them are like, oh, I want to build a real estate team, or I want to, sell so many units or whatever. And this gentleman's like, I want to retire with 1,000 doors. Okay, 1,000 doors, meaning 1,000 rental properties, rental units. Okay. And can we agree that if his long-term aspiration is to have 1,000 doors generating X amount in residual income, okay, that there are some moves he's going to need to take in the next 3 to 5 years that are unique to that long-term aspiration? They're not the same as someone who's like, I don't want to own rental property. Well, those are 2 different paths, and you have to figure those out for yourself. So for his midterm goals, we, again, long-term aspiration, own 1,000 doors. That was one of them. Okay. You're going to have plenty of long-term aspirations, but one of them was to own those 1,000 doors. The midterm goal was he needs to find a group of investors. He needs to put together a plan to purchase X number of properties. There were goals that are unique to someone building a portfolio. And that's in addition to his production business, guys. So he wants to make sure that he's directing his business in such a way that he's uncovering investment opportunities. He's networking with other agents who work with investors all over the country. He's oriented in a very different way than someone who's just doing production. Okay. And so that long-term aspiration is really guiding his relationships, the trainings he's going to attend, the people he's going to be networking with and doing business with. So it's the same for your business. It's unique to you. And once you figure out where you're headed, where that top of that mountain is, then you can figure out what milestones you need to knock out in the next 3 to 5 years to make sure you're making progress. And then last but not least, that 12-week year that we keep talking about, that's the first step. That's the first baby step. What are we going to do? Being mindful again of where are we headed? What are those midterm goals? Okay, so let's stay with this example of someone who is, looking at amassing rental properties. That's going to be part of his 12-week year, but it might not be part of yours. Maybe in the next 12 weeks, he wants to meet with a financial advisor and figure out how to reposition his investments to drive more income, so he has more money for a down payment. Maybe he needs to meet with a couple of hard money lenders. Maybe he needs to, just figure out what are the beginning stages of this that I need to start exploring so that he's already making moves toward that midterm goal. That's what a 12-week year does. It says, okay, great. Based on where I am now, based on where I want to go, what are the immediate next steps over the next 12 weeks that I need to take to make progress? All right. Those are the 3 components. That's usually about 4 hours of class. So you got it like really quick, but that is where you need to start. Okay. And so often as real estate agents, we start with the tactics. We're like, well, I was on this training and they said send out, 3 unsolicited CMAs a day. And I did this and this and this. And so I'm going to plan my 12-week year. And these are the tactics I'm going to do and go. Well, that's like planning a vacation with no destination and you just pull out your driveway and start making right-hand turns. You have no idea if those tactics will lead you where you want to take your business. Will it have activities that you enjoy doing? Are those tactics things that are going to be hard for you to do because you're just not wired that way? If a coach tells you make 25 cold calls a day and you're not a cold caller, there is a very slim margin of probability that you'll be able to maintain making 25 cold calls a day. So being truthful with yourself about who are my people? How can I get in relationship with them? What do I like doing? What am I good at? And creating a plan around that will make it so that it's much more impactful for you over time. All right. So it's really easy to get derailed if you start with those tactics first. All right. So we're going to check in on a couple of assumptions that you might have. Number one, you need to be very mindful of commitment costs, guys. Commitment costs are simply this. Whenever you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. And for you to be really effective at implementing any business plan, whether you do a 12-week year or whether you do an annual plan, you need to be very clear what you're saying yes to and what your standards are for saying no. We're agents. We do not do a good job of saying no. There's always a training. There's always a class. There's always a happy hour. There's always a broker's open. There are a million things that are fighting for your attention. Okay, so it's really important when you settle in on your plan, one of the kind of unintended consequences of that are you're going to put yourself in a position where you're going to start to say no to things that traditionally you've said yes to. Okay, and the best example of that I can tell you is training. So if I'm trying to learn how to do A, B, and C, it doesn't do me a shit's bit of good to go to training on L, M, and N. It just doesn't. It's not in alignment. So trainings, be very discriminating in where you spend your time. Free training's not free. So let's do a quick experiment. How many people on here know their hourly rate? Do you know your hourly rate? All right, drop it in chat. What's your hourly rate? No judgment. Just drop it in chat. What's your hourly rate? Hourly rate. Give it to me. Scrolling down. $500 an hour, $400 an hour. Priceless. $250, $500. Okay, so for you to sit here with me this morning, Isabel, cost you $500. Yes? So you add all of these up, and I'm like, wow, I took this much money this morning from you, theoretically, because I took an hour out where you could have been making money. So free training is not free. I want you to get that out of your head. It's not. You're paying with your time, which is more expensive. And it's a resource that once you spend it, it's gone. I can go make more money, right? How many of us wish we could buy hours back for $500 a piece? I'd buy some hours back, right? Would you? I'd buy some hours back at 500. That's a deal. What was that movie where they were allocated a certain number of hours to live or whatever, and you could buy hours or lose hours or whatever? It's kind of an interesting concept. So if we know that free isn't free, attend the trainings that are aligned with what your needs are for that next 12 weeks. I'm telling you, you would be shocked at how much distraction there is just because you have FOMO and you don't want to miss out on what the next big thing is. Well, it might be the next big thing, but maybe it doesn't apply to me. There's so many different ways to do this business. If I'm going to sit on a cold calling call and I'm going to learn scripts, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to deploy that. I don't need that, number one. And number two, I'm not going to cold call. I'm just going to tell you right now, 32 years, I've earned the right not to cold call, and I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying I know where my sweet spot is, and I can get a lot more done if I'm working my sphere. I have a big sphere, and I have a big pile of warm leads that I'm working. So I'm not trying to learn things that aren't like directly applicable. So commitment cost, clearing your schedule. I'm not attending the things that don't serve me during this 12 weeks. All right. And you got to think about, what are you willing to give up? What are you willing to give up? Are you willing to give up maybe an hour or two a day of getting up earlier? Wendy gets up at the ass crack of dawn. I think she gets up before midnight. Like, I just feel like she doesn't even sleep. Right? So she's got a goal that drives her, and she knows she needs to find some time to do that. And so she structures her day in such a way that she gets to start it on her terms. So what's she giving up? Staying in a nice warm bed, right? Being available when all her friends are available. If you've traveled with Wendy, you know that after about 8 o'clock at night, she's like spent, right? So she's giving up being able to be out and do things, okay? But it's because she wants to stay in alignment with her goals. Okay, so what comforts are you going to have to kind of put in the back seat in order for you to execute at a high level over the next 12 weeks? Throw some of those in chat. What would you have to give up right now that you're spending time on, or that you're doing that, we like being cozy, we like being comfortable, we work hard, but what are you willing to give up a little bit of over the next 12 weeks to get better results without necessarily having to, spend a bunch of different money and things like that? What are you willing to give up? Her and the dog. It's true. Jeep's always up, right? Okay, money for an assistant, Deanna says. I'm going to have to reallocate some of my resources, and there's some pain associated with hiring an assistant. There is. You go slow to go fast, so you're going to slow way down. But if I have a goal over the next 12 weeks of getting an assistant, and I have a strategy for that, you're greatly increasing the odds that that's going to work well for you. Okay. What else might you guys have to give up over the next 12 weeks? What else? To execute at a high level, what might you have to give up? What are you saying yes to that you might have to start saying no to? Is anyone the person that everybody asks for help? Is anyone that person? Got a bunch of people kind of nibbling at your ankles, right? Okay. That might be something you have to say no to a little bit. Or restructure. Say I have an hour a week where I have open office hours. Come ask me. But other than that, I can't help. Okay. So be clear about what you can say no to that doesn't necessarily have a direct impact on your results so that you can kind of make some space. Get some of your head back. Do you know how taxing it is for you guys to be on nonstop trainings all the time and you're constantly second guessing what you're supposed to be doing because you're always hearing a different flavor of, how to do the business? There are no original ideas in real estate anymore. It's just a twist on the theme. So what can you do to create some space in your business? All right. Getting out of your comfort zone, giving up a little bit of ego. Okay. Yeah. Ego's a mother. Time blocking for implementation, right? I'm going to have to build some new habits and I'm going to have to say no to some habits that no longer serve me, right? That's going to be really important. So now you're starting to get that. Just go ahead and write down a few things like, what am I going to have to give up? Yeah, asking for help when I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm not just going to allow myself to stay stuck because there is a payoff to being overwhelmed all the time and busy all the time. There's a payoff to that. You're arguing for your limitations when you say you're overwhelmed. Okay. So you can have reasons and results. You can't have both. You get reasons or you get results. You cannot have both. And as long as you hang on to, I'm overwhelmed, I'm not techie, I'm new, whatever the hell the story is that you're dialed into, it serves you by keeping you in your comfort zone. Just FYI. So give that a think and write that down in your notes as we go along. Okay. So 12-week year, when you have this, it's going to kind of like crunch down a whole year into 12 weeks. Okay, and we're going to have specific areas of focus. Number one, it's going to track for you. It's going to give you some sort of tracker that you're only measuring the things that really matter. You're only measuring activities, things that you have 1,000% control over. All right, that's what we're tracking. And so it's going to give you a means by which you can do that. The second thing is we're only tracking what are considered to be lead indicators. A lead indicator is something that is an action that when you do it, you increase the odds of a closing, you increase the odds of GCI coming into your business. Okay. The other things that we've always measured, and a lot of times we measure on a 12-month plan. And for those of you doing an annual plan, you might want to chime in the chat on this. How many of you are focused on what we consider to be lag indicators? Number of units closed, amount of closed volume. Okay. Number of units closed. All of those are lag indicators. And a lot of annual business plans are focused on that. Well, I can't, no matter how much piss and vinegar and caffeine I've got in my body today, I cannot go out and make a closing happen. When I figure that out, I promise to share it here first. But we can't do that. We can't act on a closing. What we can do is we can have activities that we do on a consistent basis that will result in conversations, that result in appointments, and start that little row of dominoes toward a closing. Those would be lead indicators. Okay. I have no control on whether or not I have a closing today. I can't go make one today. I can't. Okay. The only way a closing is happening today is if it's been planned, if I already did the work. So it doesn't do you a shit's bit of good to manage lag indicators. It doesn't. What you want to focus on are those lead indicators. So let's talk about what some of those are. Okay. Conversations, appointments, number of equity analysis, real estate reviews, whatever you're going to talk about there, whatever you want to call it. I mean, listing appointments that you go on, buyer appointments that you go on, listings taken, contracts written. These are the things that we want to be focused on. And the reason we want to be focused on those is when I get up in the morning, Those are things I can take action on no matter what's happening in the world. Doesn't matter who's in the White House, doesn't matter if it's before a holiday, it doesn't matter if the market's slow, if the market's kicking ass, it doesn't matter. Nothing gets in the way of me having conversations but me. So I want to focus on things I have 1000% control over. All right. How many of you have worked your asses off only to get to the day before closing and the deal falls through? That sucks, right? So I don't have control over that closing. I have influence over it. I can certainly do my job really well to ensure that the deal doesn't fall apart. But you know what? Sometimes things just happen. So we want to focus on these lead indicators. And then the next thing is we're going to focus on execution. That's how we're going to rate ourselves. Like we don't work in a job where at the end of the day, someone Venmos us, $2,500 and says, good job. I don't get a paycheck at the end of the week. Right? Like I wish, again, when I figure that out, I'll let y'all know here first. Okay. That's my promise to you. But very frankly, I need to know when I've done the job that will result in the income I'm looking for, the profit I'm looking for. This is a profit game. This is not a volume game. This is a profit game. Okay. I can show you two agents, one that works twice as hard as the other. And you look at the profitability and there is a vast difference. So I have agents that just run circles around other agents because they're focused on their profitability and efficiency, not on volume. So you have to think strategically, how can I leverage my time to get the most out of it? And one of the things that you need to do is track your activities. And how do I know when I'm done for the day? How do I know when I'm done? I can feel busy and accomplish nothing. That's the beauty of our business, right? I can feel like I'm just like overwhelmed and overworked and oh my gosh, when in fact I'm not accomplishing beans. So what we're looking at is, again, those lead indicators. Did I do 85% of them? Did I do 85% of them? Do I have a little scoreboard for myself? I'm just going to string those days together where I'm doing 85%. Anyone have kids? Well, you guys are young enough on this call. I'm like the old broad on the call. Like my kids are like on Snapchat, they do streaks. That's what you're looking at doing here, a streak. The more days you can daisy chain together where you've executed 85% of these very focused lead indicators, you're going to get to where you want to go. And if you're off, you notice you're off right away. On an annual plan, you're going to be trotting down the road and you're going to get to May and you're going to be like, rut-row, I've only closed 4. My goal was to close 30 this year and we're 5 months in and I'm screwed. So on an annual plan, it's really hard to tell when you've gone off track, and it's kind of like a drift. You just kind of, it's not like you pull off the road and end up in the ditch on your plans. That's not how realtors work. It's like a creep. They just, oh, I didn't make my calls today. Oh, I have a home inspection. Oh, I didn't set an appointment that day. And you half-ass it and it just slowly, you veer off. And you're no longer in alignment between how you spend your time and where you're ultimately trying to go. And that is what a 12-week year fixes for you. All right. So you're going to hear me say the word alignment a ton. And here it all is. Long-term aspiration. Okay. That's either at the far left or the top of your notes. That's the first thing you need to figure out. That will be a collection of a number of things. How much passive income do you want? Who do you want around you? How do you want to spend your time? What hobbies are you going to pick up? All of that kind of stuff. This is like a really fun activity, especially this time of year. Get your family in on it. Get your business partner in on it. Get your team in on it. What are we doing this damn thing for anyway? Okay, this job is hard. So you better know why you're doing it. And then those midterm goals. Where am I headed? What do I need to be focused on in the next 3 to 5 years to make that happen? And then over the next 12 weeks, what are the very first steps I'm taking in that direction? As part of that 12 weeks, I'm going to come up with 2 business goals, 1 personal goal. That's what I'm going to focus on. 2 business goals, 1 personal goal. For each of those goals, I'm going to come up with 3 to 5 tactics, the actions that I'm going to take. And then I'm going to have a plan for myself and then track myself to 85%, executing 85% of what I attempt. I'm not going to get it perfect. I'm looking for a B average here. No big deal. Okay, that's how this is constructed. And what I do daily will help me reach my goals, right? Which gets me closer to here, which ultimately will bring me here. So alignment's everything. In your training, in your reading, in the people you surround yourself with, it all needs to be in service to that long-term aspiration. Stop making your business plans on tactics first. It's the biggest mistake you can make. This is so much more empowering. I just want to cover this really quickly. Guys, you might want to take a screenshot of this. I can put it up in the 12-week year group too, but when you're looking at choosing how you're going to spend your time and what you're going to do, what kind of leads you're going to work, what kind of activities you want to do, where your sweet spot is as a person. Like, are you really techie? Are you good with like databases and digital marketing? Are you more of the Chamber of Commerce, Kiwanis networking group person? Like, how do you want to do the business in a way that's enjoyable, that keeps your battery charged, right? So these are lead sources broken down by average conversion rate and what these lead conversion ratios rely on. Okay, so online leads of any kind, arguably the single most expensive lead source, and it requires long-term nurturing. You're getting them top of funnel, very early buying stages, and you need extensive nurture campaigns. If you do not have those in place, do not under any circumstances subscribe to a lead service. That's ridiculous. Okay, you're putting gas in a car that has no wheels. This doesn't work. So make sure that you have the pieces in place, or you're focused on building the pieces in place that need to be there for you to get the most out of any one of these lead sources before you go spending a bunch of money, signing a contract. I mean, I know people who had to take out home equity lines of credit to pay off their Zillow bills. Like, if you're going to play at that level, make sure you're buttoned up and ready to do it so you're getting the max benefit out of it. Open house conversion rate, 2 to 5%. FSBOs, 5 to 10%. Expired listings, 5 to 10%. Wendy knows a little bit about those. But look at what happens to conversion rates once we get down here to sphere and referrals. It requires so much less of me to have on hand and complicated processes and expensive software or ad spend. You know, I've got people who are looking at buying tech stacks that an agent would buy if they wanted to move 150 units. And I ask that agent, how many units do you want to sell a year? And they're like 10. I'm like, what are you doing all that for? It's not in alignment. Figure out what your goals are and then build the business to support that. Don't go out and do all this stuff and go, well, you know, isn't this what we do? Is it not for 10 or 15 units? You don't. Probably not even for 25 units. So be very clear about where you're going. And then all of the decisions you're going to make about the different things like this, you know, anything that you need to have in place, any assets that you need to have in place, your follow-up campaigns, all of that good stuff will absolutely be driven by how you choose to bring in leads to your business. All right. So think about that. And one of my pet peeves, just so you know, if you haven't heard this out of my mouth already, is you really need to have one CRM, not 6, not 4. Okay. Unless you're bringing in a ton of top of funnel leads, you know, you don't need to get very complicated. So if you need help with that, reach out to your coach, reach out to a mentor, reach out to Wendy, and they'll help you through that. But pick the tools that fit where you're going on your journey. Okay. These are some sample goals if you're trying to move less than 24 units for 12 weeks. So these are lead indicators. Note that the first word in every single one of these goal statements is a verb. Taking you back to English class, it's a verb, it's an action. I can take 5 listings. I can set 10 listing appointments. I could write 10 buyer rep agreements. Put 3 listings and 5 buyers under contract with a total of 8 pending. These are lead indicators. Okay, I can't control that closing, but I can absolutely control whether or not I take 5 listings in the next 12 weeks. Okay, set up your CRM and start adding contacts. That's another one that might be appropriate depending on where you're lacking in your business. Create your listing and buyer presentation. Some of you don't even have that done. So maybe your first business goal is a contracts written goal. And then your second business goal is to get some of these foundational pieces in place once and for all. A lot of you are still fooling around. And then you keep going to trainings where you see another listing presentation. And then, oh, there's another listing presentation. Oh, there's another one over there. Oh, there's another one over there. And you end up having this listing presentation that's never quite done. So this is a way to get all of that implemented for yourself. Okay. So again, you would pick 2 of these max, or you might have your own goals. When we're looking at someone doing 24 units or less, a lot of times they're not maximizing their sphere. They don't have a really good nurture campaign for their past clients in their sphere. And if you have, for every 12 people you have in your database that you communicate with in the correct way, that should result in 2 closed pieces of business a year. 12-to-2 ratio. So you don't need a giant ass database to kick out leads if you're communicating with it in the right way. So don't always think that more is more. All right. So you've got that. That would be an example. Now, let's say you're experienced and you've got, a goal of more than 24 units in the next year. Set a goal to take 12 listings in the next 12 weeks. And then you get to have some fun thinking about what that looks like. The plan for someone taking 12 listings looks really different than a plan for someone who's brand new and they just want to take their first 2 listings. The tactics are very different because of where those 2 agents are in their business. It's the beauty of a 12-week year. We get to look at our own business. Okay, I want to take 12 listings in the next 12 weeks. That's 1 a week. What are the actions that would support me taking 12 listings? Okay, well, I'm probably going to have to set 24 listing appointments, 20 to 24 to make that happen. That would be one tactic. I'm going to set 24 listing appointments. Okay. Or maybe I haven't really taken a lot of listings lately. I used to be a big listing agent and I've just been swatting buyers left and right, because that's what's been showing up in my world. And I don't know that I have 12 sellers that are ready to go to market in the next 12 weeks. Then the goal would just be getting listing appointments, starting to load up that pipeline again. We want to meet with sellers long before they want to sign in the yard and a lockbox on the door. So I'm going to focus on that. Great. What would 3 to 5 strategies be for getting 24 listing appointments? Those are called tactics. And that's very different than doing an annual goal where really you're not sure what all the actions are that lead to the results. So this allows you to spend some time with that. So these are just some examples of things that you might want to put in place. Some of you need to clean up your CRM. You're working with a lot of dirty data. When was the last time you vetted all your data? You called people. Do you still have their right email address? Did they move and not tell you? Ouch. What's going on? Are you keeping that data up to date and really clean so that when you invite people to things and send out market updates, they're actually getting those and opening them? Do you have strategies around that? Do you have your cradle to grave contract to close figured out? Can you deploy it at a high level, or can your TC deploy it at a high level? So there's lots of goals that someone that's experienced, their gaps might look much different than someone doing less than 24 goals a year. All right. So we're going to close with this. And again, we have a lot for you in the group, and we'll be hosting little workshops between now and the end of the year. Would love to have you take part in those. But I want to talk real quick about goal statements. I want you to learn to write goal statements that are really, really empowering. And I'm going to talk a little bit about SMART goals. So everybody knows what SMART stands for, right? Specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, which I hate that word. I am going to ask you to eradicate the word realistic from your vocabulary and replace it with relevant and then time bound. Okay. So specific, measurable, you want to make sure your goal statements are stated positively in the present tense. Is it relevant to where you're going? Is it in alignment with all of the things that you said you wanted for yourself? And the fact that it's going to be done within a 12-week year automatically makes it time bound. Okay. So an example goal statement. Okay. This is a great example of a goal statement. And it's just an example. It doesn't mean it's right for you. I'm not telling you that this is what you have to do, but let's pick this apart. So add 250 people to my CRM with full contact details so that I can easily put my contact ideas in motion. Okay, I'm tired of having an idea and then I want to have a client event and then it's all runs off in the ditch because I just don't have all my people sorted and I don't have good data for them. And it makes everything harder, right? So I want to make that easy. I want to be able to deploy stuff really quickly. If my HVAC vendor calls and says, hey, we're a little slow right now, offer a special to all of your clients. They get $150 clean and service on their furnace. I should be able to send that out to my entire sphere of influence like lickety split. Should be a 10-minute thing. If I have everything updated, right? I just want to be able to take action. So this is specific. Whether or not I'm, even remotely familiar with real estate, I can tell whether or not you've added 250 people to a CRM. You could show me that. I could understand that. So it's very specific, even for someone outside the business. Makes it really easy. You either did it or you didn't, right? Measurable. It's 250. Makes it super measurable. Okay. Starts with a verb. Add. Put the suckers in there. Is it stated positively? Yes. Is it relevant? Yes, because not having this is holding me up from doing all these other things that I know I want to take action on so I can get more business out of my sphere. And then, of course, is it time bound? Yes, because it'll be over 12 weeks. So all your goal statements should look like that. Okay. I have people who are writing goal statements about paying off debt. Right? They want to pay off debt and I'm like, okay, well, what are you doing that for? Well, what do you mean? I don't want debt. Okay, but what does that do for you? Because paying off debt doesn't, yeah, it's okay, but I want to am I paying off that debt so I can book a dream vacation that I've been looking at doing, or so that my husband can stop working overtime, so that I have more time to spend with my kids? Why are you doing the damn thing? That's the relevance, and you want to make sure you add that. Okay, here it is, so that I can easily put contact ideas in motion. That's the relevance. And almost every goal statement I see lacks relevance. You want to make sure that you have that relevance in there. What does it mean to you? Again, why am I doing the damn thing? All right. So I'm going to stop there just because it's a lot. And I want to see if you guys have questions and I want to answer those for you. Oh my God, there's a much larger screen of people. Welcome, everybody that joined after. I saw all your beautiful faces. Let's open it up for questions. I want to answer some good ones. If you want to ask me about tactics, ask me about that. If you want to ask me about goals or whatever, let's have at it. Who's going to be brave and go first? We have about 11 minutes, so let's jam.
I want to ask a question really quick. So say, is there something that we print out so that we can start working on this, or we just put all this down on a piece of paper?
Yeah, so the first thing you're going to want to do is get your butt into the group. There'll be a spreadsheet for you that you can use to fill it out. And I've got a tutorial in there for how to use said spreadsheet. It'll give you a place to put your long-term aspiration, your midterm goals, and to map out your weeks. And yes, you are going to need help with this. This is not a self-guided tour. I wish this thing was a little bit easier, especially the first time you do it, but there's only one way through it. It's a little bit ugly. You got to push yourself through it. But once you do one, it helps you get better the second time. And you're only refining your long-term aspiration or refining your midterm goals. You're not recreating the whole thing every time you do a 12-week year. So yes, that's available for you. It's a Google Sheet. Okay. All right. What else? Give me a question.
You might, this might be too micro of a question, but if you were to be committed to working your sphere with email campaigns,
Mhm.
what is your suggestion to coming up with that much content?
Yeah. So I would look at the content that I already have, like what's already in my world. All of us have different piles of content. Maybe it came from a broker. Maybe it's already in the CRM that you're using. Grab it. And there's a tutorial for this, I think, in the online community. If not, I'll make sure I put it there. But one of the things I like to do is take canned content that's already there, pull it out, throw it in either Gemini or Chat GPT. Okay. Work it and refine it. One of the things that I've noticed about canned email content is it's not skimmable on a mobile device. So your people, over 90% of your emails opened on a mobile device. Make sure it looks really good, concise, skimmable. You want to make sure those emails all have something that someone can download or a site that they can visit to learn more. Okay, if they want to do a deeper dive, you've got a little Easter egg in there for them, and I would add video to it.
And then would you be Bomb or YouTube?
Well, that's a loaded question because I'm like the bomb like queen. I love bomb for a ton of reasons. I've never leaned into YouTube a bunch in creating video content. So I definitely like using bomb, and it does play well with most real estate CRMs.
Thank
So
you.
I do like it that way. I also like it because I can use it for document storage. So like if I have an email and I want to like so yesterday I did this. I created an email for people who are like really top of funnel, like the people that are contacting me on Facebook Marketplace and shit like that. You know, they're like way up here, top of funnel. And I just wanted to have something, you know, that were ideas for them on how to save for a down payment and explanation of closing costs and things like that. So on bomb, I can actually park those PDFs so that I have a little URL that I can, you know, put in my email so they can just click it and download that PDF. I really like to add value adds, but the video is, you're crazy not to do it. I'm just telling you, you got to stand out, and AI is making it, you know, more important for us to include video, you know, so people can get a feel for who you are, Michelle. I mean, you know, seeing your face makes a big difference. If this was just a big conference call, would it be the same? No. Why is Zoom so impactful? Because we can see each other. So same thing. Isabel, you got a question?
Yes, I did. Thank you so much for this awesome session. It was really helpful. I wanted to ask you on the lead conversion sources that you were giving out, that you were sharing after, how many of those do you recommend just concentrating on? Like 3 or 4? What's your opinion on that?
God, I love that question. All right, let's go back to that slide real quick, because I'll bet
Okay.
you're not the only one that had that question, right? How many of you had that same question? You're like, okay, so what should I be focused on? All right, so hold on just a second. Can you see my screen now? Is it nice and big?
Yes.
Okay, I would start here until you have maxed this out and you have great follow-up and engagement campaigns for your sphere. You have decided, am I doing a market update? Am I doing, you know, email, you know, drips? Like, what am I doing? Like, and that can look different for a lot of different people based on how they like to run their business. Okay. But you need to start here and you need to knock this out of the park. And when and only when you have squeezed every drop out of this lemon, then you can move to one of these. That is my humble opinion. And here's why. Okay. It's really pretty. It's very money driven for me. This is cheap. This is cheap. And the rejection's low.
Mhm.
And bonus, the conversion's high. So why wouldn't I start there? Am I doing every damn thing possible to make this an amazing experience for these people first. Do I have an agent to agent referral network that I'm working that's part of my plan? Part of my day is connecting with 5 agents from somewhere else in the country to create more referrals. When I look at my business this year, 2/3 of it was referral business all day long. How hard is that? Oh, I'm sending you a referral. And they're like, yay, we're so lucky to have you. Let's go buy a house. 2 showings later, they're under contract all day long. I want to do that more than I want to be on call for Zillow. That's just me. So until you've like really pimped this out, I wouldn't be focused on anything else. Just my humble opinion.
I appreciate that. Also, how do you go about approaching other agents? Like you're wanting to get other referrals from other parts of the country and reaching out to other agents from other parts of the country. How do you approach them?
So you guys are involved. First of all, you're in this group, right? Have you guys all shared your contact information with each other? Like I'm looking at Nancy right now, who lives in my favorite part of the world. I'm so jealous right now, Nancy. Oh my gosh, I'm going to end up on your couch before you know it. I'm going to swap like Maui time for coaching.
Sounds perfect. I need it. Come on
I'm
over.
reaching out. Okay, we're doing it. We're doing it. I will. That's a good swap. So you're on these calls all the time. Are you messaging all of these people saying, hey, I want to connect. I want to stay connected. Here's my phone number. Send me your V card. Or how do you have something? I have agents that have Google Forms or BombBomb forms set up where they're like, please fill this out so that you're in my world. And I'm building a database. And then you let those people know once a month what's going on. Here's what's going on in Cleveland that you probably don't know. You can buy a rental here in cash flow day one. You can buy a rental here in cash flow day one under $100,000. How many of you knew that? Would that be good information to know if you're looking at referring someone to Cleveland? Some of you live in cities where there's big medical schools, okay? Guess what I have here? I have 2 of the largest medical systems in the country where we bring in residents. Wouldn't it be good to know who you could refer those people to that really knows the market? Because they're only going to be here for a brief period of time and they're going to need to bail back out of it. They want to buy, but they're going to have to be able to bail back out of it. And oh yeah, by the way, they are broke as a joke. They have no money. So do I know a lender who has a 0 down doc program? Yes, I do. So I'm going to share news with you, Isabel, about what's going on in Northeast Ohio. And you're going to feel like you're getting to know me because I'm sending those things out. That's how you nurture those agent referrals.
Okay, thank you so much for that great
You're in
advice.
Facebook groups all the time. You know those people in there you don't want in your world. We all know those people in the groups were like, no. You're not people. You're
And
negative.
say that, like when you're private messaging them through Facebook, just be like, hey, you're in my Tech Tuesday group. I just want to let you know if you don't have anybody that wants to buy or sell in Las Vegas, I'm your girl.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Okay.
And here's another, if you're looking at building agent to agent referrals, here's something that I think is really, really important. I allow that agent to stay involved. I'm not asking you to turn over and butt out. I want to keep that person ahead of what's going on. So like I received a referral from a gentleman in Minneapolis. He turned him over. He's like, yeah, you don't have to update me or anything. Well, BS. So he knew exactly when they were pre-approved, how much they were pre-approved for. He knew when we started to view homes. He knew when we went under contract, and I've let him know when it's going to be closing. How often do we like just have money show up and we're like, what is this even from? That agent took the referral, but we don't work as a team with that person, and that's a mistake. Okay. My other favorite tip for that, since I'm on a tear, and this is where it gets good, like if you have people you can collaborate with on these tactics, another thing that I absolutely love is I'll tell anyone, like, so I'll use my cousin as an example. They have a house that was not selling in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. So she's like, why can't you be licensed in, Wyoming? And I'm like, but those price points, I need to think about it. Like it's a beautiful house. It's a beautiful just situation, but it wasn't selling. They were competing with too much new construction. So I referred them. I pre-screened 5 agents. I sent them my top 3 picks and I let them choose. And I forged a relationship with 3 new agents doing that. Okay, so that's
9
another,
o'clock. Just saying.
What- what'd you say?
9 o'clock.
It is. It is. It's also noon.
Oh,
Depending.
sorry, noon for all you
All right. I'll do
lucky
one more
people.
question. One more question. Does anyone have a question? And you can always ask them in the group too. Sheila, that's the first hand I saw go up in my time zone.
I put it in the chat. Oops.
Okay, tell
I
me so I don't
yeah,
have to go read it. Go ahead.
It's just, so I've never been a goal setter, ever, 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 ever. I fly by the seat of my pants literally every day because whenever I set goals, they fail. And this is no joke. Like, I set something I'm going to do for the day, and then like something happens, like 3 things happen, and it causes me to derail. And then I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm literally done. I'm not going to do it again. And so it's trained me to fly by the seat of my pants, and that's how I literally do it. So for a person who never has goals, like, what would you say is the one thing, because I get overwhelmed by so much, what is the one thing that I can do in order to stay focused on a goal?
Okay, so stop trying to plan your whole day. Plan for the top 20% of the activities that will drive profit to your bottom line first and foremost. That's your priority. So don't try and plan your whole day. And what I like to do, because I'm like ADHD like crazy, one of the things that works for me, I can't set daily stuff. So my friend Will Penny says it this way. He has a goal of running 40 miles a week, but he can't run whatever 1/5 of 40 miles is. Like, my brain is mush right now, but you know, 3rd grade math, he can't like divide that up into equal amounts each day, because there's days when the chaos shows up, just like you mentioned, and you get derailed. So what he'll do is he'll say, okay, here's his other thing. I need to set 2 listing appointments every week. And that's just it. And he'll work all week at that. And then when he's achieved it and he has 2 listing appointments set, he knows he's met his goal, right? So when you set a weekly goal, it gives you that flexibility. So if the chaos shows up, you have, time to kind of catch up. And it's not like when you say, I'm going to exercise 30 minutes a day. Well, about 3 days of not doing that, and you're starting to beat yourself up. And now the goal is having an unintended side effect of giving you more reasons to feel defeated. So again, focusing on the activities. And then the next thing that I would tell you, because there isn't just one thing, you got to do it before you throw the open sign up in your real estate business in the morning. You have to do as much as you can straight out of the gate, but because everything after that is someone else's priorities, they're not yours. And you need to make yourself the priority and make sure you're pushing all of your things. So Wendy does that, right, Wendy? Your morning is all about your agenda, and then all the chaos has room to show up. But I know no matter how much shit shows up during the day, I've done what I need to do to reach my goal.
100%.
And it makes
100%.
me feel like a rock star. So that's what I would tell you. I'm here for you. Anytime you guys have questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Would love to see you in the community. And if I can help you dial this in any way, please just ask.
Right. And the commit or quit accountability call is freaking bomb. Like, if you literally don't get your things done, hop in there, state 2 things, hop in the next day. You're not going to want to say you didn't get it done. Right? Nobody wants to say that. And trust me, I got my shit done before my 5:15 a.m. call at 4:40. Because I don't want to say I didn't get my shit done. So things get done when you say you're doing them.
Well, and it's a daily check-in that if you have something and you're getting stuck, at least you're hearing yourself go, I'm getting stuck on this. Like, this is now the 3rd day I've shown up and I haven't making progress on that. Then you have a group to collaborate with that's like, all right, where are you stuck? Well, I can't get the damn thing to do the damn thing. Okay. And then you have people up under you helping you remove that obstacle so you can move forward. So it's not like it's not a depressing call is what I'm trying to say. It's a super empowering call. And if you've not tried it, it's something you can put in your daily habits that would make a tremendous difference.
Right. And just hearing what other people is on their list to do kind of inspires you to maybe put it on your list to do, so.
Or they're doing it differently in a way that leverages it even more. you know, you're doing an open house like this, and then you hear this other person, they're running their open house like this, and they're getting 3 times the traffic you are. Well, shit, let me incorporate some of that so that if I'm going to do this thing, I'm going to do it in a way to cause as much collateral damage as possible.
All right. We have to hop into the VIP group to start 5 minutes ago without me. So anyway, love you guys. Have an amazing day.
Happy
Have an amazing
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. Do not eat as much pie as I'm going to eat. You will regret it, I'm sure. But that is on my list to do. So see you. Have a good day.